We're on.
Hey everybody, it's Mark. How you doing? We're going to do a short instructor video here, just an update of what goes on here at Refresher. Everybody's time is very valuable, so we figured if we do this, it'll save everybody some time, but make sure you have the information you need. So we're here at Refresher today. As you might have heard, that the schedule for the Refresher has changed. It's 4 days a week now, not 5. So it's Tuesday through Friday. We still take the week off in between, and we have it for the 2 weeks. So the students get a total of 48 hours. 48 hours, so they get their 30 hours in national and 18 hours additional. They still get CPR, they get a CPR card, they get ACLs, an ACLs card. We're not doing PALS anymore. We're doing a hybrid pediatric day that's going to give them a lot more hands-on practical experience and a lot more assessment. We incorporate some of the hand-heavy concepts into that. It's not a hand-heavy course, but we do incorporate a lot of the hand-heavy concepts in that. Some things have changed. The national requirements included a lot of documentation for practical components. In an effort to make it as easy on all of us, we've given the students a pre-test. They're issued that before class, and they're required to submit it at by the end of the first Friday, so we can look over it, make sure that they completed everything. Some of the assignments seem a little outrageous, but they are taken exactly from the requirements in the National Registry. We felt that the pretest is probably the easiest way to do that. Some of the other practical requirements, we've created a skills sheet that requires the instructor's signature so verification can be on file. The students are going to be given that sheet, and they're going to be required to keep that. They can keep it at the class if they want to, but it is their responsibility. If they lose that sheet, they're not going to get full credit for the course. So that's going to be made clear to them from day one. We're going to talk about a couple other things. There's some AHA changes, go over some course dynamics here, some requirements. The Heart Association's made some changes regarding their mannequins, and we're going to talk about that. So let's go inside and see what's going on.
Hi folks, Rob Sanders here, a colleague of the famous Mark Keller. Just added in a couple of things specifically with the AHA programs with BLS and the ACLs. Heart Association now is going to be kicking out changes more often than 5 years, so it'll be more frequent, and when those occur, we'll make sure those are incorporated in the program and you're well aware of it. In addition to that, this Heart Association itself has modified some paperwork a little bit. We'll just make sure you're aware of that. Also, as Mark mentioned earlier, new national requirements specifically regarding practical skill stations will be incorporated into CPR and ACLS classes. There'll be a check sheet, just a couple of minor things during the testing stations you'll have to make sure the team leader accomplishes. But again, that'll be on a sheet, just to make you aware of it. And finally, one of the changes, again from National Registry on the practical side, is during the performance of CPR, they'll be required to use a feedback device with a mannequin. We have new mannequins, which Mark alluded to earlier. We'll do some training with that, show you that, and that'll again be incorporated into the programs. Thanks again for all your help, and look forward to working with you.
Good morning, instructors. I just wanted to go over a couple things. Whenever we arrive, we always have our instructor meetings.
We're trying to take a little bit of that out because they do extend long. They extend into the time we're trying to get set up. So as we're always doing, make sure you're trying to arrive early. If you can't arrive early for some reason, just make sure you're giving the coordinator of the day or one of us a call so we can let everybody know to fill in that space. When you get here, same as usual, come on in, make sure you're dressed appropriately. We almost always have a schematic up in the small classroom that's set up. Go in, check out the schematic, see where your station's going to be, see if there's anything extra that needs to be done. Also, check base with the coordinator. The coordinator may need some supplies brought up from out back, so just check in. All the common stuff we're doing anyway. Once your stations are set up, make sure you go through your equipment. We often find that there might be batteries that aren't working. You might need some supplies, so just touch base with us. Let us know as coordinators what we can do to help you out. And if you know where the stuff is, feel free to go grab it yourself. So one of the other things that we need to make sure as instructors we're getting done, whether it's CPR, ACLS, any of the AHA courses especially, but all the courses, but in particular to AHA is the paperwork. We need to make sure as instructors we're getting all the paperwork done correctly. If you don't know how to do it, come see us. We'll happily walk through, but they all have check boxes. Make sure we're checking the boxes. Make sure the students put their first and last name. We often find sheets with just a first name or just a last name or a first name with initial. They need their whole name on it. It needs to be dated. At the bottom, it needs to say pass or needs remediation, the NR, which is needs remediation, our signature, our instructor number, and then the date. So they got to be fully completed that day. If not, we're going through every sheet in the office and we need to go back and find you to get it done. So please complete that as necessary. As Mark talked about earlier, we're in a 4-day system now. ACLS is going to be happening on Friday. So coordinators that are coordinating on the Thursday before ACLS on the Friday, make sure all the equipment is pulled from the back, put into the small classroom if it's open, on tables, split up into 6 different stations. So monitor, ACLS box, mannequin on 6 different tables. Make sure those are all ready to go. Pull the battery charger out, put the batteries in, try to get all batteries charged up for the next day and ready to go. And then I'll be doing, or Mark or Rob, one of us will be emailing basically the assignments out for the Friday, and we'll have you put the schematic up on the board. Any questions for that, we can touch base by phone, but the schematic typically goes Station A in the large classroom towards the left side if you're facing the students, B, which is to the right side of the classroom if you're facing students, and Station C, which is the front of the apparatus floor. A would be Brady, B would be Tacky, C would be VFVT. That's your rotation 1. The second would be Station D, which is the back of the app floor usually. E would be in the small classroom, and F would be the break room. Same thing. Brady at D, Tacky at E, VFVT at Station F, and that group would rotate within each other. So we would draw that schematic up on the board. If that's something the coordinator can do on Thursday, that would be appreciated, as well as making sure all the equipment's ready to go. On my clipboard, things to not forget. We talked about the schematic here. Make sure your equipment's working appropriately. As far as the stations go, we've gone over it in time after time in the instructor meetings, but as far as ACLS goes, make sure we have a Brady station, a Tacky station, and then the VFVT, PEA, asystole station. We usually run 2 groups of that. We have one circle and then another circle. Always make sure you know who you're sending your students to. So you got your Brady's going to your Tacky's going to your VF. After your 3rd station, the students stay at your station, and they're going to stay there for putting it all together. Putting it all together is the stable Brady, stable Tacky, into the unstable, into code, into ROSC. So let's talk a little bit about the team leader stuff. As far as the team leader, this is where we know whether students are adequate in their learning. We've seen time and time again where most are good, but then we see where the team is able to assist the team leader through without knowing if that team leader is competent. Make sure we're recognizing if someone needs more practice, and if they need more practice, we're happy to give them more practice. If they need more practice, let us know. We can always pull them aside. We can work with them in the office if need be. If they don't pass the first time through, they're allowed one remediation that day to be done by a different instructor. If you identify a student that needs remediation, make sure you're letting us know. That way we can work with that student to find out if they want to retest that day or if they need to come back and meet with us in the office. Remember to remind them that they only get one retest. If they don't pass on that remediation the first time, they have to take the whole class again. So make sure you're letting them know. As far as the stations go, when the students sit down at your first station, you're going to spend your first 20 to 30 minutes. The coordinator will let you know at that time. You're going to spend that time sitting down and you're going to go over the information provided in the book. The faculty have put together a book that mirrors the test. It does not go over the test questions, but it gives the information that the test wants to be covered, the information that wants to be covered through the exam. So make sure you're going through that information. This course is built for doctors, nurses, to be done in Iowa, the same thing it's to be done here on the Cape. And it's not always applicable, every part of it, to our particular job. But as far as AHA goes, we need to teach that. So make sure we're giving them the education on even the stuff that's not applicable to our jobs right here. So we'll come back to you in a few more minutes with some more information. Let me just make sure there's nothing else we need to touch on. Nope, we'll be back to you in a few minutes with more information. Thank you guys. Let us know if you have any questions.
So I just want to go over real quick the video setup. Video setup should be pretty easy. You have the two TVs and the screen. They're going to mirror each other. That should be all set. Shouldn't have any problem there. For the instructors who come with their own laptops, specifically Macs, it's very easy to do. All you have to do is take the HDMI cable out of the white adapter on the back of the computer and then bring it around to the laptop's HDMI. Plug it in and the switch over should be automatic. Give it a second and it should pop up on the screens, and there you go. So there you have everything. In the event you use the CD player, DVD player, you have the AV switch. Just make sure you switch between 1 and 2. If you're not sure, if you're not getting anything on the screen, just push it once and go to the other one. Should be all set. But for the people who have Macs, just have to plug it right into their HDMI and they're all set to go. Sound and video.